right, so we are back. End of the season. It's we've taken some breaks. We've been here, we've been out, but we're back with two significant members of the league towards the final kind of ending of everything. Well, don't want to spoil anything now, but we got Adwyn, we got Sebastian on, and yeah.
One looks happier than the other. That's all I'll say.
We're up now.
All right, but let's start by going back through the standings. I think we showed you guys this last time, but this is kind of how the season shook out. Obviously, Adwyn there with the most points at 7th place or 8th place, whatever it is. But Sebastian getting that bye with the second most points. Kind of a crazy season. Almost 9 of the 12 teams are above 500 or close to 500, which is crazy. I don't think we've had a season like this before.
I know this is my first season too, but you guys went from 10 to 12, right?
Yeah, this is our first 12 team too.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It was a tough year, honestly. I feel like every team was really in it to that last week. Sure. Adwyn, how do you feel about how the standings shook up?
Yeah, I mean, I lost out on the playoffs by 1.5 or 2 points, whatever it was. Props to Lucas. He had a great week. Jonnu Smith going off for 12 points or whatever in overtime of that game
alone.
Destroyed me. That was the beginning of the end. I'm sure we'll get into the fiasco that was my last 4 weeks later. But yeah, that I should have known once Jonnu Smith did that. I should have known.
That was a sign.
It was over.
That was a sign. Sebastian, how did you feel about the standings? Did you feel like it was pretty close? Did you feel like you knew you were going to make the playoffs all year, or how did you?
Well, I knew that I was going to make the playoffs all year because it was neck and neck. But getting a bye by essentially 13 points on that last week it was scary. So I wasn't sure. And then even away, sitting 19 points away from sitting at 1-2, it really could have gone either way. So you never really felt that comfortable. And
such a tight year.
Yeah, even that last mark where I was Lucas at 6 with 1 less win and 50 less points is even that's not settling either. So it was definitely close all year.
Even Yusuke, he missed the playoffs at 8-6, which is crazy. 8-6, you'd think is a lock to be in the playoffs.
Yeah,
it's unreal. But 7-7, definitely not.
Yeah. Crazy season.
Picking up where we left off, me and Lucas had obviously Matt and Sebastian. You guys got the first round buys. Me and Lucas going up against each other round 1. Matt and Jacob taking each other on round 1. And unfortunately, it did not go my way. One of the podcast members made it through to the semifinals, but Lucas's team, for some reason, what annoyed me was that, just based off how close the points were, really, if I ended up on the other side of the bracket, I would have won. If I ended up on the other side of the bracket, things would have gone a lot differently. But, I ended up with Lucas, and of course, he goes for 143. Aaron Rodgers was I made some weird picks. I started Aaron Rodgers, was able to stream the Cincinnati defense. Things worked out well for me, and I had a good week, but I can't beat 143. That's not something I can count on topping in the playoffs. So I unfortunately couldn't keep my dynasty going. I had to bow out in the first round and lost to a rookie in Lucas, which was not fun.
Yeah. But a rookie dropping 143 in the first round of the playoffs is pretty unreal. So, it happens. With my matchup though, it's actually it looks pretty close, but I was up by most of it until probably that last night. So, don't give Matt any props there. He did have Brock Bowers, who sold on the last game possible for him, which blessed me and got me into the next round. But, Matt, we all knew Matt was a one and done. Let's be real. His team was not good. Not good at all. I think Adwyn's team deserved the playoff spot a lot more.
I think I said it in week 6 or whatever. Whenever Matt went on that run of 4 BS wins in a row or whatever it was, first round exit. It just had first round exit written all over it. And that's exactly what happened. So not surprising.
Exactly.
Yeah. Lucas had a crazy week.
I mean, 143, man.
Kansas,
You'll win any playoff game with 143.
yeah, you guys both have defenses that went off, but 22 points to Kansas City defense is that has to hurt. Like,
yeah. And then 28 from Connor, 28 from Hurts. That's 56 right there. Like
the only
that's half your score almost, Anthony.
Yeah, there wasn't much for me to like. Even I think. Yeah, that was in Jonathan Taylor. What was more frustrating too was that once I got knocked out, Jonathan Taylor decided to start having the best playoffs ever. Like if I made it past the first round, I probably would have ended up being fine. Like I could have, won that next matchup. But it happens. That's how fantasy goes. And Lucas didn't end up winning the league, so I take some satisfaction.
But like what Sebastian said earlier, he was only like, 13 or 19 points away. You were only 13 or 19 points away from the bye. Like if you won this, that's or you wouldn't even have the bye, you would have had the bye, which would have been crazy. Or you would have beat me or Matt too if you ended up on the other side of the bracket. So it really just did not go your way, unfortunately.
Moving into the next round, onto the buys. Lucas got Sebastian, Jacob got Matt. Going into the final matchups and second round, how did you guys feel about your matchups?
Sebastian, you go first.
I was scared. I mean, regretfully, I wasn't even looking at the week that I had a bye and I was celebrating. I was in Cancun already. But I mean, when you look back and Lucas had a 140-point week, doesn't really settle that doesn't feel good. And as you can see from the final score, I think I had a right to be a little bit nervous. 4 points, less than 4 points was the difference between me making the finals. And I remember I was biting my nails throughout that whole day. But I mean, Saquon and Jahmyr Gibbs kind of just hoisted me up on their shoulders and carried me like they had all season. So, and I mean, when my kicker having the third most points is something that we'll groan about like for years to come. But
was that the game where Gibbs on Monday Night Football scored that long touchdown for the 49ers? Or no, that was the finals.
Oh yeah, that was the last game.
But either way, man.
Yeah, no. Yeah. So I have to give Lucas a lot of props. I mean, I played fantasy before, but I know this is Lucas's first season really doing it. So shout out to him. He was scary.
Making it out of the first round as a rookie is huge either way. I mean, you obviously got a trip to the championships. That's very impressive too. But like as a first year ever playing fantasy to make the playoffs and win a game, still props to Lucas. Almost rookie of the year, but obviously there's someone else here. But yeah, I'll go through my matchup real quick. Obviously it wasn't really that close. Beat him by about 50. Don't really know what to say. Like, I mean, Jaden balled out. The whole team balled out. Keenan Allen balled out. Kyron balled out. I think Matt had a really good team, but I think injuries kind of decimated his team near the end of the year. And, I mean, this is the typical Matt Cohen story where he'll have a great regular season and then playoffs he kind of falls off. But, he had a good season and he definitely deserved the bye. But that was about it for him, unfortunately.
I remember you guys at the podcast before was talking about one of you guys had to make the finals. So
and Anthony called it. He said it. And he was right.
It ended up working out. I would have rathered it be me, but it's fine. It's fine. I'll take it as a collective victory. And yeah, we made it to the finals, Jacob versus Sebastian. But before we get into the winner, we have to get into the consolation bracket. Adwyn, you're here for a reason. You alluded to your final 4 weeks of the season.
Oh yeah, here we go. Okay.
Talk to us about how this consolation bracket went for you, because this was, I mean, to go from most points in the regular season, 7-7. Important context to note that previously we did last place based off total record. So even if you based off our previous last place, you wouldn't have even been at risk of getting last place. Your record would have been good enough to keep you safe. But this year we go through the consolation bracket, so your matchups matter. How did you feel about your week 15?
Look, I mean, I completely unbiased here. I think a pure consolation bracket is idiotic. All right. How can we have people going 4 and whatever, 4 and 10, 4 and 11, whatever it works out to be, and then they have one good week in the playoffs and they're good. They're safe. The rest of their 8, 12 losses, whatever it is, doesn't matter. I don't think that makes any sense. I do think this year was a little bit of an outlier. Like, it's kind of ridiculous how it went down. In my last 5 weeks, I was just looking at it. I faced 119 against Jacob, 135 against Lucas, 147 against Ian, 130 against Joel, and 147 against Yusuke. I went 0 and 5. And it wasn't like I was putting up no points. I was having good weeks in the middle of that. So I mean, I don't know how much worse luck you can possibly have 5 weeks in a row like that. I also worked it out, and I brought this up earlier. I know it's a big what if, whatever, but I did just want to point out that if I had scored 1.8 points more against Lucas, or if Jonnu Smith just hadn't decided to go nuclear in 2 minutes in overtime, I would have made the playoffs and I would have won the championship. The math works out. I would have beat Anthony in the championship if you reorganize the seating based on how it works out and use all the same scores. I literally was 1.8 points. That's how much was the difference between last place and the championship. It's the worst possible outcome I could think of. Yeah, I think it's ridiculous we do it this way, but whatever. I'm gonna put on the suit. I'm gonna run the 5K. There's gonna be video evidence, so I'll be a good sport about it. But man, I cried myself to sleep a few nights in that 0 and 5 run. Just an all-time bad beat.
I mean, they're averaging about 130 on you. Yeah, I mean, that's just not possible to beat more than like 2 weeks out of 5. If you even got lucky too. Like, yeah. That's fun.
I was putting up good weeks. I was putting up 130-point weeks and just losing. I was losing to 140-point weeks. Yeah, really, really frustrating. I don't know how I lost 5 in a row. Like, at a certain point, it's on you, right? Like, you can't just lose 5 in a row. But I faced good weeks every week. So
I was gonna say this might really be the strongest showing of a fraudulent Joel, because his only win in the consolation bracket was against you, and
130.
and the other
it
two
was by far his best week of the season, by far.
and his other weeks in the playoffs were duds too. He didn't do well in the consolation either.
I don't know what he averaged overall. I think he averaged like high 80s per week, and then he just drops 135 randomly against me. Like, what? How is that possible?
It's messed up, man. And I will agree with you. I do think we do need to change the consolation back to what we had before. Like this, I mean, I do like the idea of a bracket, but I do think that you really got screwed over here. And I would be pretty pissed if I was in your shoes. So, like, I understand it. I mean, me and you were 7 and 5 with 2 weeks left in the season. We both needed one win to make the playoffs. We played each other, and then we played another playoff team. And we both, I mean, you lost out. I won one and barely got in, made the championship. You would have, if you just would have won one, apparently made the championship and won, which is just crazy. Like, I've never heard of anything like that in a fantasy league.
Yeah. The other thing was that, like, Yusuke was the alternative to be last place. Like, it was me versus Yusuke in the last place.
8 and 6 versus 7 and 7.
And Yusuke had a better record than I did. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't think that makes a whole lot of sense that we have the teams that are bad the whole season just be safe because they have one good week or whatever. Or if like your team is good the whole year except for the last couple of weeks, you have some like devastating injuries, right? And your best 2 players go out for the rest of the season, whatever. Like, your punishment should just be, oh, you lose those next 2 weeks and miss out on the playoffs. Your punishment shouldn't be you had a good team all season, you had injuries, and then you're just screwed the rest of the year, right? Like, when teams get big injuries in the NFL and they miss out on the playoffs, that's it. It's not like, oh, they got to keep playing to get relegated or something. Like, I don't know.
No, I think you make some good points, man. Like, I genuinely feel bad. I like this shouldn't have happened to anyone, but it was either you or an 8-6 Yusuke team. Like,
doesn't make a lot of sense. And Yusuke went off against me, of course. So why wouldn't he?
I do think the solace though is you got most points at the end of the day. So even though you got last place, you still got something out of the league. You could have gotten last place and like been 2 points away from most points too. So like you could have gotten nothing. So you're still cemented in like the accolades of this year, and I feel like that's even from last year to this year. Like I think that's what you're saying about the 1.8 points is like it is things get so close, like the margins are so fine, and it really is just about luck. Being able to have like a consistent team is like the best that you can try to do. Like Joel consistently got 80 something points all year. Maybe that's not what he was trying to do, but that's like what he ended up doing. I think if you teams that did well, you got to be consistent year over year. You got to be able to get points, and you got points. So it didn't go your way this year, but maybe next year, maybe the year after that, maybe someday you'll end up winning the league. So
yeah, it's been a few years, and I was looking back on it, still have not had a winning record, which is crazy. Both of the last 2 years,
7-5.
both of the last 2 years, I was well above 500 with like 2 or 3 games left. No winning record. Or last year, I think I was terrible actually, but the first year, I was really close.
So what are you cooking for next year, Adwyn? What's in the works this offseason?
I can't even say anything because I thought I was cooking this year, and it didn't work out. So I'm just gonna say I'm not cooking anything. We're gonna free ball it. We're gonna see whatever happens.
No fantasy research. You're going in raw. I like it.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see how it works. I don't know. I think Alex did that this year, and I don't know if it worked out great for him.
Not the best. 3 wins.
So, yeah. I don't know. I'm so sick of thinking about this.
It's okay, Adam. It's okay. We can move on. We don't have to talk about your loss. We can get on to the.
I really liked my team. That's the sad part. I really liked my team. Whatever. We'll move on. More celebratory news here, right?
Sebastian, take it away. I mean, you got the ring. Congratulations to you.
And shout out you. You're a fierce competitor. One of the commissioners, I'd say.
Park commissioner.
Yes, and I had a good week. I've seen you have better weeks, so I know that it's probably not what you had hoped for, or even like what you had experienced leading up to this point. But I'd like to say I know ball. And guess what? It paid off.
You do. I will say, all season, I think I played you 3 times. I think you beat me every single time, and it was like by a decent amount. Like I remember I played you like early in the season. I think game 2 or something. You killed me. I played you the last week of the season when I could have got like most points and a bye, and you knocked me out of both of that because of Josh Allen. And then this game, you beat me by 30. Like I think you just have my number. Like I don't get it.
Yeah, I'm grateful for the season I had too, and I think that like you look back to the draft. Like I had my first 3 picks of the draft carried me throughout this entire season with Saquon first, Jahmyr Gibbs at the turn, and then I was the first to lead off on quarterbacks, and I grabbed Josh Allen at like 35, or 33. I mean,
those are 3 of the best players in fantasy.
Yeah,
so.
I was lucky. Like, and my receivers were lacking all year, especially after I had the Tank Dell injury, so wasn't optimal. But yeah, it was. I think I can accredit a lot of like my success this season to the draft, and yeah, it paid off. I mean, Josh Allen. The one thing is my team's name is Bake This Bread, and I was debating whether or not I wanted to start Baker just like for the last game of the season, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Josh Allen's going on MVP run, like I'm gonna lock in with who had the highest scoring QB game of all time, and I'm gonna go with my guy. And lo and behold, Baker Mayfield puts up 35 points. Brock Purdy, my second,
He proved you wrong.
30 on the bench too, and then Josh Allen had 23. But either way, that wouldn't have mattered. So
That's actually crazy. He was really a QB3, and he still got the job done. You know.
Yeah. It was fun.
I just want to shout out Lucas here. He called me out for playing Packers D over the Eagles defense here. I mean, the Eagles were playing a decent Cowboys team. I didn't expect them to score 20. I don't think like this also. I mean, obviously it didn't make a difference at the end of the day. He still would have won. But like Packers defense against Minnesota, Packers were getting hot too. I can't be upset with people I played at the right time or at the time. I just got to be like, Sebastian earned it. He cooked me all season, beat me by 30. Congratulations, man. That's all I can say.
Thank you.
I'll be back next year though, so be ready.
I'm ready. We were tinkering till the end. I had to pick up the Raiders defense after I got snaked for whoever else I wanted to pick up on defense, and Chris, or who's that? Okonkwo.
Yeah, I was trying to get him on the waivers too. You beat me to him.
Yeah, that was. I mean, all I needed was someone to do something, and he was able to put up 8. So
got the job done.
Jacob, I gotta ask because there is a combination on your bench there that wins you this game, if my math is right.
Yeah.
Do you struggle with that at all, or is there just no world where you're starting McMillan over Debo?
No, there's no world. The one thing I will say to take Lucas's side is I did pick up Eagles defense right when Dak Prescott got hurt, knowing that they'd be playing the Cowboys that week in the championship game. But I mean, I still, even if I played them, like it doesn't make a difference. I wasn't going to play McMillan. Keenan Allen was so hot, and Debo was finally getting back to normal. It does hurt, obviously, like knowing there's a chance. All right, Debo was like 50-50.
He had one good week.
I'd like to also look at this from a different perspective, because the take that you just had, that you picked up the Eagles defense when you knew first of all, ballsy as all hell, was just assuming that you were going to be in the championship.
Yeah, that was very ballsy.
That's awesome. But also, CD was out at this point, so it's kind of like I think Lucas has a little bit of a point to be like.
That is a good point.
It was questionable,
but no, that's fair. That is fair. I mean, they won 41-7. I just thought, I think Cowboys were coming off. They just beat the Bucs the week before, so I was thinking, all right, maybe they put up another fight against the Eagles. But I mean, so it's definitely a bold take. But
I mean, we're kind of dogpiling on this one decision here, but forget about Eagles are going to be good against the Cowboys. What about the Packers made you?
The whole season. All right, this is my take that is actually right. My whole season, I never believed Sam Darnold was good, and that finally happened. But of course, after this game, literally after this game, he becomes the worst QB ever. It literally makes no sense. He literally regressed after this game. I mean, he dropped 27 this game. I think they did it all in the first half, and then the Packers came back in that second half. So literally at halftime, he fell off and never came back on that play. He single-handedly screwed me and then said, "Hey, I'm actually bad." He said that by being that bad. 9 sacks in a playoff game? You kidding me, man?
I respect the commitment to the hate game there, Sam Darnold.
Thank you.
You're willing to stake your fantasy championship on thinking a guy's a bum.
He was never that good, man. And I mean, it proved those last 2 weeks. He had what? Everyone thinks he's the regular old Sam Darnold again. He's not going to get the bag. He lost millions these last 2 weeks. He lost millions of dollars.
This is incredible, because not only is Sam Darnold not one of the 3 quarterbacks that I have on my team, unless your defense scored 30 points and Sam Darnold had sucked, it wouldn't have mattered also.
Exactly. No, literally, man. So, yeah, I mean, going back to your question, Adwyn, I can't be upset. I mean, I wasn't going to play McMillan at the end of the day. Playing a rookie in the championships, besides Jaden Daniels, because in Jaden we trust. That was my name. Had to trust. But Jalen McMillan, I mean, it's tough. I was thinking about playing him, but just the way Keenan Allen was playing, he was playing so well. Debo had a good week the week before, and he was starting to trend back up. I think somebody was out too, Kittle maybe, or Jennings. I think Jennings got ejected or something. I don't remember. Anyways, I thought he was gonna do better. He didn't. I learned. You gotta learn. You gotta lose a championship to come back and win. That's what I'm gonna say.
Fair enough.
See if I let that happen.
We'll see. Rematch next year. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Congratulations, Sebastian.
Yeah.
Any speech for winning the league or anything? Anything you want to share?
I feel like I came in like the ranking showed, or I guess we'll get to see, where I was kind of in the middle of the pack. I'm a rookie for the league. I think I'm if I'm not misunderstood, I'm the youngest, so I have the least amount of football experience out of everybody in the league. So I'd like to show that I know ball. First of all, I know ball, and second of all, I'd like to say thanks for the invite this season. It was really fun.
You're a good addition. Definitely rookie of the year. I mean, hands down, rookie of the year. Lucas was
Did we
close.
vote on
He
that?
took a fight. No, we just decide. We're the commissioners. Matt doesn't have a say.
I appreciate that I'm taking home 2 pieces of hardware then. But yeah, it was fun.
Hey, you're not the only person taking home 2. Adwyn's taking home 2 too. Most points and last place.
Adwyn.
I think that's a little more impressive, honestly.
Not the worst take.
But no, shout out Sebastian.
Thank you.
You got anybody you want to call out? We got
fancy players?
Some rivalries going on now that you're a league winner.
I'd like to say, Alex, you deserve to lose. First of all, no doubt. The team was shitty, buddy. Sorry.
Definitely.
Lucas, I enjoyed chirping Lucas all season, and he was on the fence on whether or not he's coming back. I'm putting it in words right now. You're coming back next season.
He has to. He has to.
And yeah, Jacob, I waxed you this year. I'm sorry.
You did. So. Yeah, I can't complain. Like, you straight up did. I brought up the point. You beat me all 3 games. I can't. I gotta learn.
He beat you 3 times.
Yeah, he beat me like week 2, week 3, one of week 2 or week 3, and then he beat me the last week of the regular season. That last week of the regular season really stung, man. I'm gonna remember that for a while. Josh Allen dropping 52. Oh my god! Literally to take the bye away from me.
3 times in 1 year.
I think the last thing I'll say is I'm not done, and I'll be back. So I'll see you guys on this podcast in a year from now.
We'll see you on the draft podcast.
I'm down.
But yeah. Any players you'd like to thank? Any
Josh
Saquon.
Allen, thank you. Saquon Daddy, thank you. Oh my god. Saquon, I love you. I'm sorry. You should have had the all-time rushing record. I don't care if it's 16 games, 18 games, 24 games. It should have been you. Fuck the Eagles, though. And then Jahmyr Gibbs, Sonic, man. Thank you.
Hey, you're lucky Knuckles got hurt, bro. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know. I was a David Montgomery #1 supporter fan last year. I thought he was way better than Gibbs. And
I mean, Gibbs is already the way better back now, though.
Like, yeah, I mean, he's just solidified his position. And thank you, Jahmyr Gibbs. I appreciate you. I'll be thinking about you on next year's draft day.
Yeah, we'll finish off with preseason projections just versus the final standings. I think this is a call to action. ESPN's projections are garbage. They are terrible. All of the teams, 4 out of the 5 teams, or 3 out of the 5 teams at the top didn't make the playoffs. Adwyn, even though he got last place, got most points. The bottom half of this bracket, bottom half of the projections had better seasons than the top half of the projections. So I think we just need to throw those out of the window. But just interesting to see how, draft night, I feel like everyone comes out of it like feeling a way about their team. And, things ended up going a lot differently than everyone expected for different reasons.
ESPN put Joel second, and he arguably had one of the worst fantasy seasons I've ever seen. Like, literally averaging 89, 90 points a game, man. How is that? What is ESPN seeing this? Like, the second after the draft ended, too, I knew some of these teams are bad. Like, you could just tell. But I think second, that's crazy.
I think ESPN's cooking a little bit. Because the same thing happened in my other league where you just flip it. if ESPN projects you to be good, you know it's game over and you should trade everybody. And if ESPN says you're going to have a terrible season, you kind of
You're on
cooked.
the right track.
So
Justin.
that's what we should take away from these projections.
I'd like to put a little bit of a different perspective as well on Anthony's point about the top half. Above me, 3 of them don't make the playoffs, and the 2 that do don't win a game past playoff starting. So
Literally.
yeah, it was
Fraudulent. Just all fraudulent above you, pretty much.
And Jacob, look at you! Congrats. That was a great season for starting.
I was pissed when ESPN did that, man. My team used that fuel to get, second place, but still, they were heated. They don't like those rankings, man.
You made some money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
44% though, and 43% for 2 of the final 3 teams is kind of ridiculous.
Lucas was absolutely underrated. His team was good from the start, I think.
I agree.
And Anthony, you too. You were third to last, and you were cooking, so I wouldn't worry.
Yeah, that ends this season of fantasy football. So thank you, Adwyn and Sebastian, for being on, for participating this season. It was a good year. I felt good about this year. Adwyn, I know you may feel a little bit differently compared to everyone else on the call, but I feel like this was a solid season, competitive season. And yeah, excited to keep going. Any final words from the rest of you for this season?
I'd like to say that I'll make a bet right now that Jahmyr Gibbs is the 1 of 1 next year, and I put that out there. And
we got receipts.
We have
receipts now.
And so that's what I think. We'll see. But my last words will be thank you. It was really fun. So I appreciate it. And I'll be on the lookout for Adwyn's race.
Adwyn, you got any takes so that we don't listen?
Any takes?
Any takes for next year? Like any fantasy guys to pick or stay away from?
My take is that my team is going to find a way to implode in like week 9 and after going 8-0 and somehow miss the playoffs. That's my take. No, but
crazy.
I don't know. Clearly my fantasy football knowledge is not as good as I think it is. So I'm going to refrain from any hot takes on individual players, but congrats to Sebastian, Jacob, good job. Matt, I'm going to sweep you next year. Just be prepared. I hope I go only 2 wins and both the wins are against you.
Demoralized.
But yeah, I'll see you guys next season. Well, I guess I'll see you guys when I'm running in the cold.
Yeah.
For real.
Good luck, man. And thank you for a great fantasy season, and thanks for watching.
Yeah, and shout out Jacob and Anthony for doing this. Provide some good entertainment throughout the year. We all appreciate it.
For sure.
Lessons.
Excited for next year.